All right, I'm here with head coach Mike Jones of the Lincoln football team. Coach, last Saturday, another hard-fought loss to St. Joseph's. It was another one of those games where it seemed like a couple plays go a different way. It's probably a different outcome. When you were looking at the film, what did you notice about your team?
Like I said, I think as always we play hard. Like I said, what we have to do is we have a couple mistakes we keep making, or we make during the game, not the same ones but similar, and it ended up costing us the football game. It's small things right now because we're playing good football teams. We lost to Truman State, which only has one loss in the conference. William Jew was undefeated, and St. Joe had one loss in the conference. So we played some really good teams in the conference. We played them extremely well. It's been like I said, we just come on short end of the stick. So I just keep telling our guys, we got to keep knocking on the door. Keep knocking. You know, you see last week we had 3 forced fumbles. We ain't got one of them. One of them was on the sideline. We had the ball, and the ironic thing is we had the ball, and the kid was half his body was half his body was in bounds, and the other half was out. So I was like, you know, guys, we're close. We just got to keep on knocking, and eventually we get to that door.
Well, one of the things that you've been talking about for a couple of weeks is trying to get your defense to force a few more turnovers. And you talked about the fumbles, but you also had 2 interceptions, one that you returned for a score. What was the difference in that game as far as the aggressiveness of your defense?
Well, you know what? During practice, what we do is we say we want to force 5 turnovers each practice. You know, and then what happened was we got a little more specific because I was like, we were catching interceptions, we were forcing fumbles. So then we started saying we had to get 3 interceptions and 2 forced fumbles. And you watch in practice, we've been forcing the ball out, and it showed in the game. You see us forcing the ball out. Now we got to add the dimension of getting the ball back. So if we keep on doing that, forcing fumbles, eventually the ball's gonna bounce, and we're gonna bounce our way, and we'll get the ball back.
Well, in that first game, a lot of it came in the third quarter, but against Langston, your defense gave up 49 points. And I remember talking to you back then and you saying that you had to get that defense going. Well, the last few weeks, you've held your team to, your defense has kept you guys in the game. Against some pretty good teams. Like you mentioned, St. Joseph's, William Jewell, and Truman all have people on offense that can score, and you kept them all in check. What's been the difference from that first week to now with your defense?
Well, you know what? I think these guys, our first game we didn't play very well. Second game we struggled. If you think about it, we gave up 3 big plays, but the second week they actually played pretty decent. We had turnovers. We ended up getting getting some big plays, sacks, tackles for loss, stuff like that. So I think what's happening as a defense, we're settling in. We understand what we want to do. We get them lined up quicker. But because of that, these guys are able to play faster, and I think that's what's helping the defense.
Well, a lot of your defensive players really stood out in the game against St. Joseph's, especially Kerry Roby and Robert Daniels, who had the pick 6, and then the usual people like Kareem and Jeremy and Paul. Who stood out to you on offense in that game?
Offense, like I said, I think that we did a solid job of protecting. Morris Henderson, he's going to make plays for us, and what we got to do is make sure, he had a little problem with putting the ball on the ground. So we got to focus on making sure he takes care of the football. Kyrie Drain, he draws double coverage all the time. So he does things that for a person that's just watching a football game and not watching the intricacies of the game, you wouldn't notice the things he does, but he draws double coverage, and what happens is when you draw double coverage, they have to take a guy out of the box, and that gives us some running lanes. So if you look in the second half, when Morris started hitting some runs, they had to roll coverage to Kyrie, and because of that, we was able to hit some runs. So I think Kyrie played well. The numbers might not dictate it. Also, Chris Wilson did a solid job as well. And our wide receiver crew is a good crew. They catch the ball well. You don't have a lot of drops. They've done a great job this year taking care of the football. So I think our wide receiver as a group as a whole did a good job.
All right, well, this week you've got homecoming, you've got Texas College coming in. What are maybe some of the advantages of taking a break from conference play, maybe playing a non-conference opponent at about the halfway point of the season?
Well, I think it's a couple of things. Like I said, beginning of the season, we played the toughest teams in the conference so far. The only team that we haven't played that's undefeated is Indianapolis. So, you look at the teams that we're playing in conference, it was a tough physical deal. Now we're playing a different type of team. The teams we've been playing been a lot more 2-back, 2 wide receivers. Where they're coming down here. Texas College is a little different. They're more of a 3 wide receiver. They like throwing the football. It helps us because we need to work on the pass defense because those guys throw the ball a lot. So we're going to be challenged as a defense to stop them. Offensively, it gives us the opportunity to see something a little different because we haven't played. Like I said, we play a lot of 3-man fronts in the conference we're playing, and Texas College is a 4-man front. So it gives us a great challenge to get prepared for some 4-man fronts.
Well, Texas College is a team that likes to rotate its personnel. They use a lot of two quarterback systems, and they've tried to put in some other people at that position. I think most of their players, even some of their defensive players, have gotten in at wide receiver. When you have a team like that, a team that is going to probably be rotating people in a lot, what kind of challenges does that present for your defense?
Well, challenges is this. Like I said, you look, they played 4 quarterbacks last week. And they're all different type of guys. One guy is what we call a wildcat guy, but he threw the ball. Then they have a guy that throws the ball well down the field, and they have a guy that's a combination guy. They have 2 guys that are combination guys that can run and throw. So we have to make sure we understand the personnel of what's on the field. We got to communicate as a defense, and then finally, like I said, we have to do what we need to do as a defense and to make sure we take care of our business. A lot of times, I think we get caught up in what the other team is doing, not what we're supposed to do. So we talk to our defense about knowing your job and doing your job, and then what they give us, we react to.
Well, Texas College, it represents probably the start of the second half of the season for you guys. What are your team goals for the rest of the way?
You know what? Like I said, we had goals set for the season. It's going to be tough, but our goal is to have a winning season this year. We had to win out to do that. But we can't win 5 games in one weekend. We just win 1 game at a time. So we had to focus on playing Texas College, know what we're supposed to do on that, and just build on each game. So this week we want to get better, beating Texas College, and then go from there.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.